He looks at his family portrait one last time, then sets it aside and rips his window covers apart. After estimating the strength of the ceiling, he turns on his laptop to update his daily vlog, calmly apologizing for what he's about to do. He climbs a chair and slips the rope around his neck. As he steadies himself and prepares to step off, he changes his mind and now tries to set free, but his support slips away. A guy named Aiden wakes up in his apartment and gets interrupted by a scream from outside. Curious, he goes out to check it, and suddenly, a shattering sound scares him. He sees a helicopter crash and the neighbors panicking and running. Amid the chaos, a little girl screams for help. Before he could do anything, the girls suddenly tackle the woman to the ground to eat her. The situation escalates too quickly to process, so Aiden, disoriented and overwhelmed, retreats back into his apartment to avoid getting dragged into the violence. Inside, a frantic neighbor barges into his apartment, begging for help. Confused by the unusual behavior outside, Aiden demands an explanation, but the man barely responds before clutching a scratch wound and rushing into the bathroom. Sensing danger, Aiden grabs a kitchen knife, just as the news breaks with an emergency broadcast. A reporter announces the rapid spread of a mysterious virus transmitted through bites and scratches. The neighbor swears he's not infected, but Aiden refuses to take chances and orders him out of his apartment. As the virus begins taking over his brain, Aiden pleads with him to leave, and the moment the man exits, Aiden slams the door shut. Through the peephole, he witnesses infected neighbors brutally devouring someone in the hallway. As reporters continue warning the public about the virus outbreak, Aiden checks his phone and sees messages from his father urging him to find his sister, protect her, and stay alive. He immediately tries calling back, but there's no answer. 6 days pass with no response. Accepting the isolation, Aiden begins recording daily vlogs on his laptop, documenting his attempts to survive alone inside the apartment. By day 19, he starts hearing noises outside his door. That night, while updating his vlog, he mentions that he has run out of tap water and the news channels have been looping the same footage for days now. As time drags on, boredom and isolation begin to blur his sense of reality, and hallucinations start to creep in. One night, while filming his vlog, a sound catches his attention, so he grabs a baseball bat to prepare for what's coming. An infected woman breaks in through the vent, so he hides and waits patiently for the right moment, then sneaks up behind her and knocks her unconscious. He dumps her body outside and blocks the vent with a surfboard to prevent further entry. On day 41, while updating his vlog, Aiden receives a voicemail notification. Although the call doesn't connect, he realizes the message is from his parents. As he plays it, he hears his parents screaming. He understood that infected people attacked them. Devastated, Aiden turned his grief into anger. He picked his baseball and for the first time in months, he left his apartment. In the hallway, he hesitates to attack an infected neighbor on the floor. While contemplating what to do, more infected flood the space. Aiden bolts, barges through floors, and sprints through hallways, knocking infected obstacles aside to survive. He eventually circles back, locks himself inside his apartment, and barricades the door with a refrigerator. That night, the entire city loses power. On day 42, Aiden reaches his breaking point. He sets up his laptop, preparing to record his final moments. Just before letting go, he notices a woman in a nearby building. He frees himself and confirms what he saw. Relieved, he smiles for the first time in weeks, but his smile fades when the woman closes her window without acknowledging him. He assumes his appearance must have scared her away, so that evening, while recording one final vlog, cleans himself up before his laptop battery dies. The next morning, he goes to his window to get the woman's attention, but he sees some infected people and quickly hides before they could spot him. Later, the woman opens her window and notices him. He introduces himself as Aiden, and after learning that the woman's name is Eva, he asks follow-up questions. Eventually, Aiden makes her promise to reach out again the following day. The following day, Aiden creates a makeshift zip line between their buildings and sends Eva water. When an infected begins climbing toward her, Aiden draws its attention, triggering a dangerous chain reaction that threatens his survival. The infected swarm his door, so he rushes back inside and braces the door. An infected man breaks through his window, but Aiden takes it down before it can recover. That night, Aiden searches for ways to reach Eva safely. As he racks his brain for a way out, an idea forms. He quietly leaves his apartment and moves through the darkened hallway. He checks a lifeless body and retrieves a set of apartment keys. Suddenly, a bunch of infected people burst out of a nearby door, but he drops to the floor and plays dead. After they move on, he scrambles to unlock an apartment door. The infected notice him just in time, but he slips inside and seals the door behind him. Inside the blood-stained apartment, Aiden discovers an infected woman lying on a bed. After confirming she's unconscious, he searches the kitchen for food supplies. While exploring further, he notices climbing gear that reveals that the homeowner was a rock climber, so he searches the place for useful tools. He eventually finds a rope hidden under the bed, but before he can grab it, an infected man charges at him. Aiden shoves the attacker and escapes the room. Realizing he left the rope behind, he turns back. The infected overpowers him and bites him. Panicking, Aiden fights back and smashes the man's skull with a digging tool. The infected woman begins to stir, forcing Aiden to jam the tool into her back also. He grabs the supplies and escapes. Once safely inside his apartment, he inspects the bite and is relieved to see it didn't reach his skin. Later, Aiden sorts through the tools from the apartment and discovers a radio set. He tests them and confirms they work. Acting quickly, he lowers himself down his building's exterior. Hearing the infected people nearby, he hides until they pass before he tosses one radio onto Eva's patio and climbs back to safety. The following morning, Eva radios him, so they spend the day talking and getting to know each other. Later, Aiden enters the building's ventilation system to seek more supplies. A foul odor fills the vents, leading him to a decomposing, infected corpse. Regardless, he continues crawling until he drops into a bathroom where he finds a blood-stained bathtub. He checks the tub but finds no one there. In the kitchen of that apartment, Aiden finds a large stockpile of food. He rushes to inform Eva, but instead of celebrating with him, she scolds him for leaving without warning her. Aiden apologizes and agrees to coordinate every move. Eva mentions that the number of infected in her building is increasing and that she made a rope out of bedsheets to climb into his building. Aiden urges her not to risk it, but she refuses to wait any longer. When she asks if he's safe, he mentions that the door is blocked with a refrigerator. When Eva questions whether he placed it there himself, realization finally sets in. Footsteps approach from behind him. Realizing someone else is inside the apartment, he hides to warn Eva that he's about to cut communication, and she can throw a bottle to signal whenever she needs his help. After turning off the radio, Aiden discovers a hole in the wall. As he turns, an old man named Edward points a weapon at him. After realizing Aiden isn't a threat, Edward sets down his weapon. When Aiden apologizes for breaking into his apartment to steal, Edward admits that the apartment isn't his and he had also come to steal. He reveals that the apartment's owner had taken his own life early in the outbreak. They agree to share the supplies, so Edward leaves to get a plate of food. When he returns, he asks unsettling questions about relationships and loss. He then speaks at length about what it would be like to watch a loved one lose themselves to the virus, before abruptly laughing it off as boredom. He apologizes for messing around and directs Aiden to the liquor cabinet. As Aiden reaches for a bottle, Edward knocks him unconscious. Aiden wakes up tied to the foot of a bed, restraining an infected woman. Edward apologizes and explains that the woman is his wife and that she only feeds on live victims. Aiden begs to be released, but Edward insists he needs to keep his soulmate alive until a cure is found. Edward shows him pills, explaining he'll drug him, cut his artery, and let his wife feed while Aiden feels no pain. The perfect outline of the plan makes Aiden accuse him of feeding other neighbors to his wife, but Edward claims this is his first attempt. Aiden pleads for his life, arguing that his wife is begging to be stopped, but Edward refuses to listen. Aiden resorts to pleading again, but this time, while Edward lectures him on why he has to feed his wife, Eva's voice startles them. Edward quickly traces the voice, so out of desperation, Aiden breaks down the bed and shoves him towards his wife. After escaping, Aiden quickly reaches out to Eva, who informs him that the infected have broken into her apartment. He sprints through the hallway, dodging the infected, and leaps onto his patio before jumping down to the ground floor. An infected man charges at him, but Aiden grabs a shotgun and murders him. The noise draws more infected, so they all swarm toward him. Eva throws down her bedsheet rope. As Aiden climbs, an infected grabs his leg. He kicks free and cuts the rope. Once safe, he urges Eva to climb down. She hesitates but finally jumps into his arms. They move through the apartment together, but some infected break in. Aiden sneaks Eva into the hallway, where more infected appear. They reach the stairwell, only to find it occupied as well. One infected is barely conscious, allowing them to slip past and reach Aiden's apartment. As soon as the door opens, two infected people attack Aiden. Eva knocks one of them away, but the second one rolls down the stairs with Aiden and bites his chest. Eva knocks the infected man down and follows Aiden through the hallways. Together, they run and fight off the infected obstacles, but just as Eva slips into Aiden's room, an infected man charges at her. He tries to fight the man off, but real soon, a large group of infected backups joins the fight. One of them tries to attack Eva, but Aiden drags him back, and after a few minutes, runs inside to slam the door shut. He orders Eva to stay back while he steps onto the patio to inspect the bite. Believing he's infected, he prepares to sacrifice himself. but Eva begs him to stay. When he checks the wound, he realizes the bite didn't penetrate his clothes. While they celebrate the miracle, the infected people slam against the door, so Aiden and Eva rush to brace it together. As they struggle to hold it shut, Aiden promises they'll survive this together. Against all odds, Aiden and Eva finally unite to fulfill their promise of surviving through the outbreak together. Do you think they have what it takes to survive? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Until next time, guys, peace out.